Unbelievable, the MIDI reactive video that you just saw, done by the Seqtrak app that comes with the Seqtrak, the new groove box from Yamaha. Now, Yamaha was the former king of groove boxes when they had that legendary RM1X, the most beautiful groove box in history, with its gorgeous metallic teal paint, rave lettering, and white cherry keys. And over the years, I was always hoping they'd just add sampling and the AN1X engine to the RM1X and just dominate the groovebox field. But the landscape has changed, and it's the battery-operated, small footprint, and portable groove boxes that are linked to an app like the Seqtrak that are hot at the moment and for the future. And in this video, I'm going to first give you a quick overview of what the Seqtrak is. Secondly, I'm going to analyze the rave song that I did in the intro and show you how fast and easy it is to use all the many features that are packed into this button-laden little beast. And finally, I'm going to turn to Yamaha and tell them a few tweaks they could do to make this Seqtrak much better. Just a little disclaimer here before I get started. Yamaha has graciously provided me with a copy of the Seqtrak to do my review. So here we go. So first of all, the overview. Well, this is divided into sections, which promotes a workflow to produce things like house and techno the way it's laid out. So starting from the left, it has a section of 7 drum tracks playing samples, but could also be your own imported samples if you want, and an XOX style 16-step sequencer. And it's powerful because you're not stuck with the 7 patterns that you put in for each of the drums. You actually have 6 patterns that you can put in per drum and rotate the encoders live and select the 42 possible patterns. And you can do polymeter because each drum pattern can have a different length and up to 128 steps. Then we have a middle section here that has 2 sample players optimized for synth. This is called Synth 1 and Synth 2. We have a 4-operator FM synth and a single sample track optimized to play 7 ear candy type of samples like risers, vocalizations, hits, and special effects. Next, there's the list of parameters, and this list lights up the names of the parameters currently controlled by the 4 encoders. And there's this convenient button here that you can hit with your thumb that changes the function of the 4 encoders. Then you have this little meter strip that indicates various things as needed, including how many pages of things and which page you're on, and also amounts of the things that you're selecting. Then you have the FX section to select a multi-effect for the whole thing. And with a flip of this switch, you can select an effect per track. And then you have 3 performance touch strips that, even though they're labeled with the typical effects you'd use them for, such as high pass and repeater, they can be assigned to lots of different effects. And then you have a speaker and a mic for recording samples. So you can see how this is a workflow where you can make a drum beat, move to the bass on Synth 1, pad on Synth 2, house chord with the DX model, and then put the ear candy with risers, hits, vocalizations, then add the effects, then perform the effects with the touch strips. It really makes sense the way it is laid out left to right. And then to make the device even smaller, now they could have put another section here on the device with the 20 control buttons. But they located the buttons on the side of the Seqtrak to make it even smaller. Yeah, and so on the side here, we've got play, page, solo, mute, delete, volume minus, and volume plus. And then on the top there, we've got bar length, octave, scale, key, record a sample. On this end here, we've got project, swing, BPM minus, BPM plus. And then we've got a proprietary MIDI connector that's in and out that comes with it. We have audio in, phones, and USB-C there on the end. Then down here we've got the selection for changing these 4 knobs to various parameters. And then the button for the effects right there. When I created my little song, the little rave tune that you heard in the intro, first thing I did was I held down on the project on the right side here, the little button, and you can see that there are 8 projects in there. And the first 3, it comes with 3 little demo songs, and you probably can select one of those at a time and play them, projects. You can use this all dial and listen to the different patterns that are in them all at once. They turn all at once that way. Or you can turn them individually, but to listen to the demos, it's easier just to turn them all like that. Then when you make your own, you can go here to the 4th one, which will be blank, on up to 8. If you want to delete any of those, you hold in on project, hold in on delete, which is over here on the left side, and then these all turn red, and you click on one of them to delete it. First of all, I turned on the metronome. You click the all encoder, these are clickable encoders, and hit BPM plus. And you'll see the meter there goes all the way to the top. That lets you know that it's on. If you hold down all again and hit BPM plus, you don't see anything. It just goes dark, so it's off. So I've turned the metronome on and hit play. Now you can play these drums in live like you're playing a drum machine, and you do it using these keys. And you see that they're not currently active for that. The way you make them active for all 7 drum sounds is hold any of these 7 drum sounds down and tap one of these keys here. So I'll hold the first one down there and just tap the keys. Now it's working like a drum machine. There we go. Now if I set these up as a drum machine there, then I just hit this little one with a circle on it there. That's the record key. Now I can choose to have quantize on, which is probably how it is as default, or off. The way you turn quantize on or off is by holding down all and tapping that. That turned it off. Turn it back on because you see all the lights light over there. Now one of my drum samples, instead of a drum sample, I put in my own sample of a house chord, and I put it on this one right here. Let's just solo that out for a second. So you probably noticed that was 4 measures. It was 2 measures of regular pitch, and I pitched it up 1, then up again. So to get that to 4 measures, I held down the page button over here on the left and turned the encoder where I have the house chord on this track. And you see the count changing there. It's going down. And over here you see how many pages you have as the count goes down here. So I'm going down. Now I've got 2 pages worth. Now I'm down to 1 page, so 16 steps. 32 steps, I've got 2 pages. And all the way up to 64 steps, 4 measures. And let off. Now if I just tap page, I can page through them. Second page, third page there, fourth page there. Not sure why, but when you're working with some of these, it's different. You can use this bar length button. So if you're on that one, for instance, on synth 1, you can hit bar length, and you can go from 1 bar to 2 to 4 to 8. It also works different when lengthening it out. You hold down the bar length and turn the synth encoder. And this is how you'll change page lengths when doing this one. So it's different than with the drums. But same type of idea where you're holding down a button, turning it, seeing the count there. Now, you see that these are in green. And as I go up and I get to page 3, they're purple. That's because I changed the pitch. And the last one's purple too. I changed the pitch of those. And so you would turn the one that says pitch. You'll hold down on that and turn the pitch. And that's what I did. You can pitch any of these drums. Now, when you get to this section, you can get a simulated keyboard lit up over here, and you can play the keyboard. But for these, you just pitch them. Actually, I just pitched one step, and then I pasted it to these other steps. So the way you copy the step is by long holding it for a second here. Then you see it flash there. So that's copied. And then you just hold down page, the button on the side here on the left side, and then you tap these other ones. Now that pitch that you made there is on these other steps. I added this to it. Now these say synth 1 and synth 2, but they're just sample players with a little bit different parameters. And when we get into the app, I'll show you that. And they can also be, these two can also be played, and this one played with a simulated keyboard. And so that's how I entered that one in. I imported my own sample using the app. If you hold down on all and hit key, you now get a simulated keyboard that's going to play whatever you currently have selected that you've clicked. So you can play that sample pad that I imported. So I played that part in. Now I will hold mute, click that, click this one. So for that one, I imported that sample that I'm playing, those type of notes, but I'm using this over here to play it. In the video, you could do it either way. And if you want to turn this simulated keyboard off and use this XOX for something, you just hold all and click the key, and it turns that off. And now but you can still use this as a little keyboard, even when you don't have that simulated keyboard turned on there. Now the way I got that to smear out like that is I put my thumb right here and click that, and got so these 4 encoders are controlling these parameters. Now it's attack, decay, filter, and resonance. And so I simply, the second one here is decay. I simply turned that up, and I got these two decay and smear over one another. In the app, you can add an LFO to pitch, which I did to make it pitch wobble just slightly. And I'll show you that in a second. And when I turn to Yamaha at the end here and tell them what I think, I will tell them that they should make another model like they used to do with their groove boxes, where they had one model that had the FM synth in it, but another model you could get that had the AN1X card in it. Remember that? When they had that little groove box. So yeah, if they make another model and they put the AN1X in there instead of the 4-operator DX, I would like that a million times better. And if this is something you really want, an analog modeling device that has patches by Digifx in it. Tell them what you want. Here, contact them at media@yamaha.com and let them know that you saw on my channel, you saw the special Digifx edition with the AN1X in it and patches by Digifx, some of these samples that you've been hearing here, and that's what you want. We got to let these manufacturers know what it is we want. Tell them you want that nice blue color, reminiscent of the old RM1X. We'll solo out the DX. And we have the setting of mono or poly, and then if we start turning that, you'd see it goes to chord. And you also notice that when you turn this, that there are 3 possibilities there. Now, as far as the chord setting, put it on that. Now it's on the chord setting. I've got single note chords, and those I can edit that. I can actually put a chord progression on those. So when I push down on that chord, you can see the notes of the chord, and that can be edited. You hold all down and you hit one of these 7 pads here that you want to put the chord on, and you see what notes are selected for that chord, and you can change it. You can take those away, and I can make it a 7th chord instead. And I could make it minor instead. Hold down on all, hit that, take those away, make it a minor 7th now. Make a chord with my sample, a custom chord. So I'll hold all, click that. Now I can see what's in there. It's too high. So what I'm going to do is delete all those out. Then I'm going to go over here to octave, the octave button. And I saw it was blue on the 2nd dot there. Put it on the lower one. And so now this is a lower octave. And so now I can hit that for my chord. And that sounds a lot better. Hold down all and tap that one more time to get out of it. Major 7, minor 7. So now when you have a chord going, you can arpeggiate that chord as well. You won't see the setting here on this list. This list can only be so long, and they'll probably add more things as time goes on. So if you keep hitting this button here, you get to a 4th page, and it just says other. That's all it says. So you just have to know what you're dealing with there on that 4th page where it just says other. You've got portamento time, arpeggiator gate time, arpeggiator speed is what you have on those. So essentially this second one here will be your ARP on off. So if I turn this, just playing a chord here on synth 2. And it's a preset that came with this that I kind of edited to make it sound a little like Boards of Canada sounding. Took away the lows and used the EQ on it. But now I can arpeggiate that. So now the arpeggiator's on. I can do various types. I like that one. That's kind of random. Throwing in some octaves and things. So this is just a preset of someone saying 1, and I pitched it down so I can put that with my beat.
1, 1, 1.
Now this does have a tape stop effect. And let me solo out just the pad. And if I turn this on, I've got the tape stop set to super slow. And I've also got it set to not be all the way wet. So you'll hear the original and you'll hear the tape stop in the background, kind of slowing down with the original. Gives a pretty cool effect. Now I'll turn the long tape stop set for a long time. So now I just wanted to show you how to use the device without using any apps or anything. If you just want to use it standalone, you can control pretty much everything without using the app. But there's even more control using the app. And you can use it on your phone or iPad via Bluetooth. And I think it works with Android as well. And then you can use it on your computer. So I've got the USB hooked up, and I'm going to run through the app and all the extra settings that you can get to. Starting out here looking at the home screen, all the different things that the Seqtrak app has. And it's a lot. So it has the manual right there. And of course you'll never look at that, so I don't even know why that's safe there. And then there's a parameter list, there's a shortcuts list, FX preset list, settings, device connection, USB versus Bluetooth connection. The dynamic tutorial, which to me, I don't know if that's really a tutorial. What it does, it gives you a description of anything that you're currently touching or moving on the device. It describes it to you. Project Sound Manager, Visualizer section, GUI Editor. Well, let's start here with the GUI Editor, and you can see everything on the device in here. So you see play up here at the top left, play, tempo, master section. It's amazing how many effects are in this device when you compare it to some others. Let's take a look at it. So you've got your overall volume right there. You've got a reverb and delay send, and you can change the type of reverb and all of those parameters. Then you've got the delay and all the parameters for that. You can send as much of that as you want to just a general reverb and delay. Then you've got a master effect, so everything can go through this. And that's connected to the touch strip. These three are connected to the touch strips. And you can choose all kinds of different ones. And this is what you have. Filter, reverb, delay, compression, distortion, modulation, ducker. So you can do a side chain compression. And then you have a compressor overall and EQ overall. So that's just the master effects. Then each track has effects as well, a compressor and EQ as well. You can click here on drums. And now we can see all those 7 drums right here on the left, the list. And each one has different settings for it. You can choose from a number of sounds. And these are all categorized. Here are all the categories. And then you have tons and tons of sounds in there. Pitch, choke, pan, volume, envelopes, filters, and an effect for every single track. Sound design, where you can do EQ, LFO. You can take a look at your pattern for the individual tracks. How many bars, steps. There's where the sound is, the sound design, and the effect. Set the effect parameters for each and every track has that. Then you go to the synth, and it's a little different parameters for that. The synths have mono or poly, chord mode, on or off. So it's a little different parameters. Portamento and arpeggiator. And these are the different settings you can do for the arpeggiator. And these all have an effect on them too. Then with the DX, it's even different again, because the sound design portion, you're going to have your FM editing possibilities with your algorithm operators, pitch, EG, LFO, portamento, ARP. And then the sampler, where you've got the 7 samples played through one track. Then this Project Sound Manager is good because you can go to Create Project. And then right here is where you can drag in your own samples. You just drag them right off your desktop. Kick, snare, clap, the synths. They're just samples, really. And then 7 samples there for the ear candy section. You've got the visualizer that you saw, the graphics I did. Now this is MIDI reactive visualization. So you can select different ones. I think I picked this one here for mine. And then you can add things to it, add shapes to it that react. They're MIDI reactive, react to the beat. So when you're in this area here and you hit additional, you can go down here to packs. If you wanted to do classic house, you could just click on that. So now I'm doing the little section here where I talk directly to Yamaha about what they could do maybe to improve the device, things that really wouldn't tax the CPU and things like that, or markedly change the device. So the first thing I think it needs is some preset phrases. Like some of Yamaha's products in the past and groove boxes have had phrases that you could just toss in there. Like if you want to do a bass line, you could try 100 different phrases or something and just quickly populate things with preset phrases. I think it needs that, especially like Euclidean. Like you need to be able to turn a knob somewhere and fill and populate a pattern with Euclidean triggers. Secondly, I think it needs play modes. So right now it has a play mode forward, and that's the only way it plays, just forward. I think it needs, each pattern should be able to go forward, reverse, Brownian, that's where it like goes 2 forward and 3 back and, skips around in a certain mathematical way, and also random. So it needs those different play modes. And finally, I think it needs, if I can't have the another one that is blue and has the AN1X engine in it, I would settle for just being able to swap out where this says DX here, and being able to swap that out via the OS for some kind of analog model. Just at least let us do that if we optionally want to do that. And I noticed in the that there's no filter envelope. It needs a filter envelope, obviously, and it needs an ADSR, not just attack release. Like on the synth, the 2 synth ones, it needs ADSR envelopes for the filter and for the amp, both. So it needs 2 envelopes there. Maybe another LFO as well. Oh, I noticed that the LFO, it is only free running. So sample and hold does not work as I would expect it to work on the LFO. So in other words, if I put sample and hold on the pitch, I would expect that every time I hit the key, I get a different pitch, right? Because it samples noise. I mean, that's how the analog one used to work. It used to sample noise, and so it'd get a different level every time. So every time you hit the key, you get a different note out. And that's not the way this sample and hold works. So I think there needs to be both a retrigger mode and a free running mode. There needs to be a little switch there in the LFO where you can choose retrigger or free running. But one of those two needs to have, you need to be able to set it to where you can get a different note out every time you hit the key with sample and hold. And if you set the sample and hold to the filter, you need to get a different filter setting every time you hit the key. There needs to be a mode like that. So for me, the LFO is not done yet, and the sample and hold does not work like the old analog sample and hold did. And other than that, I would say for the money that nothing touches this device. I absolutely love it. Compare it to some other things. Maybe compare it in another video. I'll compare it to the KO2, which just has one overall effect for the entire thing, basically, and then some performance effects. Well, of course, this has an effect for every single track and a lot of master effects, too. I mean, it's incredible all it does. And then with the app and everything, it's definitely worth the money. Definitely a good value. So I think the price is right on it. Yeah, and I hope you've enjoyed my run-through on this. And let me know if you want to see something else or have any questions on the Yamaha Seqtrak. And I'll see you in the next video.